What it is, ho, what's up? Look, I'm sorry. That song has been on the radio way too much. It is ruining my life. I'm sorry. I apologized. I'm sorry. So, welcome back, children over 30. We're here today with a first impressions video of the Endless Arc CS. Big grain of salt first impressions video because I got these yesterday and I took these lovely pictures. And then I woke up this morning and there was snow outside. So, not to be deterred, I decided to go down to my guitar studio and clear all the stuff out of the way and skate there. Tile floors, I need some, I swear to God, like 12A wheels next time I go skate. I do have big plans for skating in there when the weather be trifling, which living in Kansas is often. So yeah, I'm gonna get some of those wheels. I think that they're 100% necessary now that I've tried it out. Oh, and last kind of disclaimer, I'm sorry if I look tired today. I didn't sleep too well last night, but I'm here doing this thing because it's fun for me and because I love you. So anyway, what led me to this purchase other than that I knew this setup was going to look dope as hell? Well, if you have missed yon prior videos, I've been a four-wheel dude for like ever. And I liked the idea of the five-wheel frame when it started to come out. Well, at first I was like, what the hell is that? And then the more I started thinking about it, it started to grow on me, right? Because if you have a four-wheel frame, you have 1, 2, 3 wheelbases, and you can kind of fine-tune how it feels from there. But with a 5-wheel frame, you have 4. So the idea of being able to extra fine-tune how each different foot position in a skate felt was super alluring to me. It was alluring. And this is the first one that's come out that I really wanted to try. I didn't like the idea of 76 millimeter wheels or 80 millimeter wheels or 90 millimeter wheels or any of that. That's just too much. I didn't like the idea of the huge wheels outside, tiny wheels inside 5-wheel frames because that design just doesn't make sense to me. Like it's kind of backwards when you start thinking about the mechanics of like what we do, right? But this one with the 68s and 76s seemed like a good idea to me. And I liked how adjustable it was. Like there are so many different rocker configurations on these. Like it would take me forever to try every single one, you know, if we're talking about the 4 different options in the front and then the 4 different options in the back. So my first session, I did the black axles rockered up, which is the most rockered because I am Drew motherfucking Patton and I fear no rocker. And we'll get to like how they worked out here in a second. But because this is first impressions, I want to go from when I first took them out of the box and started to get them set up. So the very first thing that I noticed is the packaging on these is just like off the chain, dog. Like the box that they come in is beautiful. They come in like tissue paper. There's a little card that explains them and all the rocker configurations and stuff in it. And even the cardstock was like the best cardstock I've ever felt. It felt like smooth and waxy kind of in a way. It's hard to describe. And as somebody that's primarily utilitarian about most things, you know, I didn't think that that sort of thing mattered a ton to me. Like if I got a discount on Seba Skates for getting the mail to me in a trash bag, I would take that discount. But getting something that was presented so nice and professional, like it does feel good. Like you take it out of the box and you feel like you're getting a really premium product. And honestly, continuing on from there, it does not disappoint. So the next thing that I noticed out of the box is, well, it's been a while since I've gotten a new Endless product. The first run of the Endless 80s were my first exposure to this company. And those I gave a glowing review. You can go back on the channel, you can check it out. I still believe that's a great frame and I still skate it all the time. But things that I've noticed about this new one, you can see the base is kind of flared. That's new. And I like it because I think in theory, it probably adds some stiffness and a more solid base. I think the more contact that you can get with the frame and the bottom of the boot, probably the better you are. The Endless 80s didn't have little bridges going between the wheels that connect both sides of the frames. This one does. You saw in one of the previous pictures, there's like some slots for some adjustment. And I don't think that that's going to be the final form of that. I think right now it's kind of in a place where you can choose the forward back adjustment or you can choose lateral adjustment. I'm pretty confident that before too long, those two concepts will sort of merge and you will get the best of both worlds, which is awesome. The next thing I noticed was when I was putting the wheels in. So normally, every aluminum frame that I've ever got, it's like you put the bearings and spacers in the wheels and then you put them in the frame, and then some of them are wiggly, so you pop them out and you find a bigger bearing spacer and you put that in and then you check it, and then a lot of times the wiggle goes away. And that's sort of standard procedure for every aluminum frame that you get, right? Getting the machining tolerances to the point where that's not an issue is quite a task from a manufacturer's standpoint. And as somebody that's used to it and like a total nerd, I have little Ziploc baggies with different size bearing spacers that I've sort of organized by size. That being said, I put this together with the smallest bearing spacers that I had. It's a good starting point, right? And no wiggle, no wiggle, no wiggle, no wiggle. Tiny bit of wiggle on that front one. So 4 out of 5 is like incredible. I mean, the standard, if I get 2 out of 4, I'm feeling pretty good about it, right? Because it's only 2 wheels that I have to take out and fix. If this was a 4-wheel frame, if we pretend this wheel didn't exist, all of these would fit perfectly, which is incredible. And it really makes me think about little tech stuff like that I thought was sort of like a foregone conclusion, like I'm gonna have to deal with this because of the way manufacturing works and tolerances. And it's not only the frame tolerance, it's the bearing tolerance, it's the wheel tolerance, it's the bearing spacer tolerance. And then I get this frame that's like, no, dude, you shouldn't have to deal with that. And it really makes you appreciate a company that's truly dedicated to putting out the best products possible, right? So as far as first impressions out of the box, I think the conclusion is I'm spoiled by how good these were out of the box. I wish every product was this good out of the box. It's better out of the box than I had even dreamed of. I will say the one caveat to that is this side of the rocker axles, the tolerance for where they go in the frame, I think could probably be a little bit tighter. So let's get into some indoor skating. Kind of talk about how these did performance-wise as it's applicable to things that you're seeing. As I was doing certain things, what did I notice skating them? And again, all of this huge grain of salt. First impressions video, first and foremost. Second of all, I was indoors in a space that I wish was bigger. And third of all, I don't have like the 12A wheels that I need to make a tile floor feel good. But I do think there's some value in that I could generally feel how the frame worked. Right, so here we go. This is my guitar studio with all the stuff moved out of the way. And we'll notice a couple of very early 2000s looking pictures up at the top right. This used to be a hair salon, and I decided to leave those up because it's weird. So it started with some power pulls. Very small space to be doing power pulls. I didn't get more than a few in. The slipperiness was really messing with me on these. I can't fault anything but 85A wheels and the floor for this. I resolved that I was going to try to get super deep on these and really treat them like a 1-foot squat that happens to happen on an arc. But this is why it's important to video yourself, children over 30. Because I thought I was getting like so deep on these, and turns out, I mean, they're deeper than normal, but not as deep as I was hoping they were. So the thing that I did notice about the frames from doing these is I never felt like I was in a spot where I wasn't having enough wheels touch to get grip. Of course I wasn't getting grip because the tiles are very slippery, but the combination of the 3 wheels in the middle and you got your like oh shit wheels on the outside, I think in a skating situation that these should be put in, quite frankly, it would perform really well. A lot of well, I don't know if I've talked about it or not, but the other setup I was skating with, like the Hell Rocker on the 4x80, the big gripe I have with that is when it gets rockered enough to start really feeling good, it starts feeling really bad for things like consecutive edges and power pulls, which fortunately there's no way that I could do consecutive edges in here, so that's too bad. But with the power pulls and everything, it felt like the grip was supposed to be there. So I think once I go and get my 12A indoor wheels, these are really going to come together, and I'll be able to do my like 3 or 4 power pulls between the back wall and this wall more successfully. So that's kind of confirming, thoughts that I had about a 5-wheel frame, which is just that there's more wheels, so you can really fine-tune what each part of the skate does. So having that sort of extra long wheelbase there, I think is really going to come in handy, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think, again, once the wheels are made for the surface, it's going to feel amazing for power pulls consecutive edges. So here we have switched around. A music stand over on the left, I made that with mine own 2 hands. You didn't know your boy was a woodworker, did you? Yeah, no you didn't. Okay, so getting into some 3 turns here, which I barely had room to do, but thank God I had room to do 3 turns. Big adjustment period for me, because normally, it is an edge transition. Traditionally, I guess for me, there is a bit of going up on the toe wheel here and there to make the transition. And with the toe wheel as far out as it is on these, that wasn't really an option. And it took me a little bit to sort of feel that out. There was an adjustment period to that end. And once I did, it started to feel, more natural and everything. I got it down and it wasn't too much trouble. I don't know that this is necessarily ideal for me, because sometimes you do 3 turns and you have a little lift, and you do it on purpose because you're not trying to do it on this giant arc. And sometimes you want a giant arc, and then you can do 3 turns like this and it feels great. So for big, giant 3 turns like this, on a big arc, I think that they perform very well in just a purely edge transition. However, I think when it gets into places where you would want to go up on the toe wheel, or you're used to going up on the toe wheel, it's a little different. If I'm thinking back to, I'm probably going to talk about figure skating a lot, because let me be clear that I'm first and foremost a rollerblader. I don't even own ice skates anymore. David from D Skates has them. By the way, David, you owe me money. Anyway, the way that they sort of work is, there's a big radius on the blade, and then there's a bigger rocker in the front, and then the toe pick is there just as a sort of oh shit thing. If you start to go too far forward, they will catch you and put you back where you need to be, and it's nice. And the toe wheel on these, while I think it does serve as an oh shit wheel, it's too much, if that makes sense. So there's not that period where you have a little bit of leeway between where you want to turn and the end of the turn. It's very small. And if you think about, even rockered, the most that they should be rockered, there's really not that much space. So here we're getting into some brackets. Brackets are something that you definitely need lift for. And so these having, lift problems, brackets generally didn't feel that good. I will say that going into them felt really good. Coming out of them when I wasn't struggling for grip like I was in most of these. See, that's what I'm talking about. So the oh shit wheel becomes sort of oh shit, I actually got on top of this wheel. It's so far forward that when you actually get to the point where the wheel is, your primary contact with the ground, it has a tendency to get really dicey. And if you're not doing moves where you have to lift, I think most wizard skaters don't really do lifts when they do stuff. It's all about making edge transitions for them. So if you don't do lifty sort of things, it's not really a big deal, right? But for me, I do lifty sort of things, so it's not ideal. I want to try out a bigger rocker in the front. I think ultimately for me, for my ideal setup, it would have to be moved back. The other thing, my GoPro battery died before I got to do too much back stuff, like a freaking amateur, I didn't realize it until I got home. But I will say the extra length in the back felt very, very good. I may even try to rocker it down just to see if I can get away with it. Here's some Carly Rae Jepsen's. Again, the grip is messing with me. But anyway, so the back felt really, really good. Shockingly good. I expected it to be the biggest problem moving to like a 5-wheel frame, and it ended up being just awesome. So that'll do for now as far as a first impressions video. I don't really want to get into too much beyond that because, again, like, you saw how I tested them out and literally like first day on them. So hopefully the next part of this will be up before too long. Either the snow will melt or 12A wheels will come in the mail. So if you are excited to see the next volume of this, make sure you're subscribed and all that stuff. You know, the general YouTube things. So until then, I will see you later.